Hi everybody, welcome back to class. It's been a couple of weeks since we talked. I hope you had a great spring break. I know it was a little bit of a pain to have to come back on Sunday, the day before the semester resumed, and turn in an assignment, but everyone did well with that. I am reading your annotated bibliographies right now. I haven't turned in any grades yet, but I will once I'm finished reading all of them, and I will make some comments on each of them to give you some guidelines on how to do that a little bit better. I'm in my own spring break for IU right now, and although I'm off school for a week, one of my instructors assigned to me to read a 400-page novel. So, if you spent time working in class during your spring break, I understand. I'm having to do the same thing. Let's take a look at what we have to do for session 9. The good news is there are only 4 writing assignments in this class, and you've already finished 2 of them. If you took English 111 as a face-to-face class, there are actually 5 assignments. So by taking this online, we've chopped off one of them, and we only have 2 more to go. Right now I'm in Blackboard and looking at session 9. Let's see what we have to do for this week. Of course, the learning and objectives are listed there. I won't read those to you. You can read them later. For this session, there are 2 chapters in the textbook to read. Chapter 15, Understanding Narrative Writing, and Chapter 17, Writing Informative Essays, which is what we're going to be doing this week. We are going to begin writing project 3, going through steps 1 through 6. We did this on the first 2 essays, so this will all look familiar. There's a PowerPoint on the informative essay, Be a Detective. We'll look at that briefly. I won't go through the whole thing. And there's a supplemental resource listed. Don't start your sentence that way. And also a web link on audience awareness. I would consider this web link supplemental as well, which means if you need to look at it, please do by all means. If you don't think it's for you, that's your choice. You can do that. There are only 2 assignments for this week. We're going to start the session 9 and 10 discussion board, warming up the audience, your initial post. And you're going to turn in a first draft of writing project 3, the informative essay. So let's take a look at the learning activities. They're not too hateful. Again, the chapters in the textbook are listed there. And then we have steps 1 through 6 on writing project number 3. Let's take a look at that. This is going to be a little different than what you've done before. What I want you to keep in mind as you begin writing project 3 is that you are informing a specific audience about a problem or issue you care about. Notice, because this is an informative essay, you will not weigh in with your own views or opinions. In your essay, you are citing what other people have had to say about a subject you care about. We already know you care about it because you selected it, but your essay should not include personal opinion. You just want to refer to what other people are saying about the same subject. So words like I think and etc. Should not be in your paper. You're just going to tell me what other people are saying about that issue. The problem, issue, or controversy you write about should be the same one you used for the annotated bibliography. Think about this. Who wants to create another annotated bibliography at this point? Nobody. So use the same subject that you used for the basis of your annotated bibliography. And that will come from at least one of the core readings. For this project, you will select a relevant audience based on the problem or issue you are writing about. Therefore, the audience is not me, and it's not the members of the class. In the situational analysis pages that you've turned in the past, they usually say the audience for this project is Mark and my peers within the class. This time you're not going to do that. You're going to tell me who you're writing this for and why they should care. And I'll show you an example in just a little bit. That's pretty well done. Make sure you turn in with your draft, the situational analysis page, where you describe who your audience is. And you should have at least 2 groups, not individuals, 2 groups of people. Tell me who they are and tell me why they should care. Your draft is going to be about 1,000 words. That sounds like a big number, but remember, 1,000 words equates to about 3 pages. So I think everyone's been very comfortable with the length that we've been using, and I think you'll be just fine on that. Of course, the final will be longer, but by then you will have gotten feedback from the other folks in the class and from me, and you'll do well with that. Of course, we're using MLA style, which we always do in this class. We're not using APA. But because you are writing what other people have said about your subject, your paper should be heavy with quotes. You should have a lot of quotes. Try to tailor the quotes that you're using towards the audience that you are trying to reach. Step number 4, have something to say. And step 5, a first draft, which will be based on the annotated bibliography that you've already turned in. Notice you want to use at least 5 sources, 4 of which are found on the Ivy Tech Virtual Library Database. You can use more, but 5 is the minimum. And one of those should be from the core readings. And then you're going to turn in your draft. And this draft will be due on Sunday, March 22nd at 11:59. Let's go back to the class. Here is the PowerPoint. I won't go through the whole thing, but we'll take a quick look at it. I know you'll look at all of it later. And as I've always said, once the PowerPoint loads, go ahead and hit F5. It'll bring it full screen, and then you can use your spacebar and your backspace key to navigate between the slides. Notice on this very first slide, it mentions take a curious, neutral approach, and the key word there is neutral. Again, this is an informative essay. You're putting out the thoughts and the words of other people that speak about your subject. You're not including your own personal opinion. Be neutral. And I won't go through the entire PowerPoint as I mentioned. I know you'll look at that later. I'm also not going to open up the web link to audience awareness and the supplemental resource video on Don't Start Your Sentence That Way. If you think you need these, by all means, take a look at them. If you think you got it, then you got it. Let's take a look at the assignments and assessments. And good news, there's only 2. First of all, we have a discussion board, and then we have the draft itself. But first, the discussion board. Based on your subject and your annotated bibliography, identify 2 different and specific audiences who could or should be interested in your topic. Notice that it mentions do not write everyone, not that you would, and do not write anybody who's interested in my topic. You want to be more specific than that. Tell me who you're writing for. Tell me why they should care. In your first post, you're going to write 3 or 4 sentences describing your specific audience and answer the following questions. Why is your research relevant to this audience? Why do you think it's important for this audience? What are this audience's major social and cultural characteristics? And if you want, what do you have in common with this audience? And this might sound a little abstract, so let's take a look at an example that's in the discussion board right now. I believe there's only one that I've seen. Yep. And this was written by Amanda, and this is well done. She just turned this in yesterday, March 16th. And let's take a look. Amanda obviously is writing about reality TV and warming up the audience. And notice she mentions right out of the gate targeted mostly toward younger generation and parents. I don't know exactly what she means by younger generation, but I'm assuming she's talking about people who are in their late teens, early 20s. Her topic is reality TV does more harm than good. And by the way, I completely agree with that. Personal opinion. And after she introduces her subject, she breaks down who the audience is for her essay. She talks about the younger generation and she talks about their parents. I'm assuming she means the parents of the younger generation. And I want to look at this one in particular. Here is how she introduces the topic to the audience of parents. Parents, I'm assuming, of the younger generation. Ask yourself this question: do I want my child to grow up to be like the Jersey Shore cast or act like the Kardashians? That's a great introduction. I think this is well done. If you wanted something to read yourself to get an idea of how to get this started, this is a good example. So far, it's the only example because she posted early, but I think it's a really good one. And as you can tell, my blackboard moves as slowly as yours does. In your discussion post, after you answer those questions, describing the two different specific audiences in 3 to 4 sentences, your initial post should be at least 200 words. Amanda obviously wrote more than 200 words, and that's great. 200 is a minimum. More is always better. And in session 10, next week, you're going to be posting 2 responses to peers in that session. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's stick with session 9 for now. Introduce your subject, introduce your 2 audiences. And then based on your situational analysis, who you are writing for and why they should care, and based on your annotated bibliography, you're going to turn in a draft. Actually, you're going to turn in your draft 2 places. The first one here comes to me, and I will read everyone's draft, and I'll give you feedback on what you've done well and what still needs some work. So you'll get my opinion by turning it in here, and then you're also going to post a copy of your draft in session 10, not the current session, where your peers in the class will also read what you've written and will give you feedback as well. The idea is by the time we get to the final version, you will have gotten feedback from me, and you will have gotten feedback from at least a couple of your classmates, and they will give you advice on what you did well and what you still need to strengthen. Could we be done already? Maybe. So we talked about there are 2 chapters to read, chapter 15, chapter 17, steps 1 through 6 on the informative essay writing project 3. There's a PowerPoint, which is actually very well done, and I recommend you look at that. And 2 supplemental resources, although this one's not called a supplemental resource. If you think you're in good shape in that regard, I guess you can skip it. It's probably not a bad idea to look at both of them. Then you're going to begin the session 9 discussion board, introducing who your audience is and why they should care, and also how you're going to appeal to them. And then you're going to turn in a draft of your informative essay. I think we covered all those. And I believe we've covered all these, but I want to look one more time. Yep, discussion board and draft. Remember the draft? Steps 1 through 6. Review those before you submit your draft. And I think that's it for this week. A little bit light on the assignments, but we're still coming out of spring break, and it takes a little time to get back into the swing of things. Again, reach out to me anytime. My text number is 812-498-4200. My phone number is 800-416-1747. Yes, that's a free call. My email address is the letter M, Stenger, and the number 1 at ivytech.edu. And my alternate email address is mstenger at metlife, metlife.com. If you send an email to MetLife, make sure you don't include the number 1 behind it. That won't come to me. This video is also being shared with the students in Mike Cooney's English 111 class. As always, if you're in Mike's class and there's a question on the assignment or the directions, always check with him, because if you're a student in his class, his instructions trump mine. That's it for this week. I will get your annotated bibliographies graded and returned to you as soon as possible. Have a great week, everybody.